Dear Joe Biden, Boris Johnson, Ram Kovan, and Emmanuel Marson. My name is Joe Rillis, and I'm the host of the YouTube show Let's List 'Em. What brought me to your page today is my episode 6 Crazy Laws. After doing research, I had to personally message the leaders of the world and tell y'all you tripping. All this corruption, evil people doing whatever to chase a dollar, pollution every damn well, it's not okay. But it's not all laws. But we gotta push it in gear, man. But for right now, it's bogus. It's bad. And all the citizens want to do is just raise our families. Not cool, man. But I wish you my best regards. Sincerely, Joe Rillis. P.S. Subscribe to my channel. It's the shit. So let's do this.
Blinded, trying to find my way. Find my way, find my. When you shine, they try to find shade. Try to find shade, try to find. Be yourself and do your thing. Do your thing, do your thing. Show the world what you will bring. You will bring.
Number 6. Prescription drug commercials. Now, in America, seeing advertisement like this is common. You probably can't go through one show without seeing a prescription drug commercial. What if I told you out of the 195 countries in the world, only 2 of them deem advertising pharmaceuticals on TV as legal? Those 2 countries would be the United States and New Zealand. Those are the only 2. New Zealand was surprising, but America... You see, America is the #1 spender on pharmaceuticals. Whether it be in the manufacturing of the drugs, research trials, or advertisement, America has a drug budget. According to Statistica.com, in 2020, America spent almost $500 billion on popping pills. And a piece of that $500 billion is spent on commercials that lie. You know them when you see them. Begins with somebody in chronic pain or depression that goes to a doctor who prescribes them the medicine, I guess. Next thing you know, Billy is going on trips with the fam, running a successful business. All of a sudden, man, this pill is great. Then they follow it up with this.
Behavior or thoughts of suicide. Antidepressants can increase these in children, or fainting may occur upon standing.
Standing?
Side effects include nausea, dry mouth, and constipation. Ask your doctor about.
This method of advertisement is a waste of time, especially if you're going to talk about opioid epidemics and the war on drugs every damn day. Somebody help me understand. Oh, look. She loves it when it's gloomy out now because the pills are just that great. Hell no. Number 5. Sweatshops. So take a second look at this. This is how some of our favorite brands are made. In terrible, disgusting places that are completely unsafe for its employees. So what is a sweatshop? According to AmericanHistory.edu, a sweatshop refers to a workplace where relatively unskilled employees work long, hard hours for substandard pay in unhealthy conditions. These terrible places of employment manufacture everything from our favorite shoe brands to our electronic devices we cannot live without. We as consumers pay thousands of dollars for this shit, and they aren't even paying people correctly. In a 2013 filmed investigation conducted by CBS News, they found a factory in Bangladesh that paid a woman and her daughter $50 each per month to help construct shirts for one of America's top outfitters, owned by a company that's worth billions. So how does this happen? Well, sweatshops are a business practice that's used to cut a company's costs. Why pay an employee from a modernized country $50,000 to $60,000 a year to do a job when you could pay a foreign company $50,000 to $60,000 and they will employ 200 people with just that amount of money? Most of these foreign companies are unregulated and only operate in rundown factories near slums and ghettos where employment is scarce. The scarcity in employment forces desperate citizens to become employees for very small compensation. Compensation that can barely afford the necessities for a person to survive. The running of sweatshops has become a big question for government officials around the world. In my opinion, the reason why shit like this exists is for a stroke of ego. Think about it. An entrepreneur from a modernized country going to visit a sweatshop that manufactures his company's products. From the moment that business person leaves for the airport to go to the sweatshop, there is a sense of, oh, I'm a big company executive. Fuck that. You're holding down generations of a country's people with pennies. The idea of looking down on others to make yourself big has to stop.
Yeah, since she was 8.
How many days are you out here per week?
रोज आते हैं
Every day.
चुनेंगे नहीं तो खाएंगे क्या
Number 4, lobbying. If you live in the United States, you know we're bombarded by so many products that seem almost trivial. Like cigarettes, for instance. Society as a whole agrees they are bad for you, like we all know this, but they remain on shelves. How? Freedom! Yeah, that's the sweet and good sounding answer. But the main reason is lobbying. Lobbyists are people that are paid by corporations to sit in the lobby of the offices of our state representatives. They may say, hey, I work for a tobacco company such and such, and we want to know how you feel about people being able to smoke whatever they want. And the politician says something like, freedom to the people. The lobbyist would say, good idea, friend. Let me offer your campaign $500,000 as a contribution, and you keep loving freedom, huh? Then the politician says, deal. That is 100% legal. And every industry employs lobbyists, whether it be in fast food, alcohol companies, or even car companies. All with the aim to make sure politicians word the laws so their companies benefit or at least not get harmed. Lobbying is a big concern throughout the government, as it should be, because where do we draw the line between lobbying and plain old bribery? Remember when drinking and driving became a big issue? Well, many politicians wanted eating and driving to become illegal as well. And for good reason. It's harder to eat a burger and drive rather than handling this Long Island. But it's speculated that the leading fast food chains hired lobbyists to keep that from becoming a reality because they would lose billions. So it's safe to say, lobbying is the law. Number 3, owning exotic animals. Imagine going to your friend's house to, barbecue, and when you grab your seat, this just creeps around the corner. If you're like me and have bowels like mine, shitting yourself is a strong possibility. But how did your friend even get to own this exotic animal? In countries like the US, the UK, Japan, and many more, the government allows the ownership of exotic animals and most of the time only requires the owner to obtain a permit and pay any importation fees that's required to bring the animal to your country. In America, owning exotic animals is a state issue, meaning US states have their own right to deem the ownership illegal or legal within its borders. States like Connecticut, Georgia, Illinois, and many more deem owning exotic animals illegal altogether. But in Delaware, they only ban poisonous snakes. Nebraska just says no wolves, skunks, or bears. And in states like Indiana, Maine, and Pennsylvania, you just need a permit for pretty much anything. To all my listeners that's interested in owning an exotic animal, I left a link at the bottom that lists state-by-state regulations on the matter. So if you want to own one of these cats that look like they could shred your ass, check it out. Number 2, prostitution. While researching this shit made me sad. There are over 18 countries that sees prostitution as fully legal, and even more that just puts regulation on the industry. In countries like Amsterdam, Australia, and Germany, The government allows brothels to function under strict rule. For instance, the sex worker must be certified, tested for VDs frequently, and must receive some form of retirement fund. Most countries that deem prostitution legal do it mainly to boost tourist profits. But in countries like Bangladesh, Austria, and Brazil, it's all fair game, which is terrible. And with no surprise, these countries are high on the UN's list of countries with the most human trafficking. Countries that allow prostitution try to separate violence and slavery from the escorting industry by giving benefits and building modern brothels, but it's still taking advantage of a person for profit. And if you feel the good old US is so far from this, we're not. According to Nevada law, prostitution is legal in counties with populations less than 700,000 people. We all know the slogan sex sells, but at what cost? Number 1, child soldiers. Those teenage years. The period that's full of visits to the mall, chilling with your friends, and video games. The good days, right? But what if it was filled with military instruction, weapon maintenance, and conditioning? Well, that is the life for some teens around the world. In countries like Pakistan, Mexico, and El Salvador, the age of enlistment into the military begins at just 16 years old. And in Bahrain, Egypt, and Iran, new recruits are allowed to enlist at just 15. Due to extreme poverty in parts of these countries, too many children see it as their only viable option. Since the beginning of civilization, leaders throughout history found it vital to his country's existence to have a big military. And if that means enlisting children, so be it. One of their tactics was to use nationalism, or the idea that you earn honor and discipline by joining the military. Some of the claims of gaining honor and being more important to society are true, but overall, the true aim is only to supply the military with recruits. According to UN.org, there are over 300,000 child soldiers worldwide, and 40% of them are girls. It's speculated by multiple governments that most of these girls are posed soldiers, being given to the male soldiers as wives. Just barbaric. This shit needs to stop. So hope you enjoyed the episode of Let's List Them. Here is all my social media contact. Say what up, ask a question, maybe request an episode for me to complete. This has been your host, Joe Rillis and Mario, and we thank you for watching. Hit that like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. And remember, be cool, be calm, and be there for somebody.